Today on Captain Cass's Laboratory, we're going to be working on another Lemax table accent. This one is called Hide and Seek. Took it out of the box. She broke free of that. Not sure what else is wrong with it. So let's blow off some of the foam and plug it in. This is also one that came with an external battery box, which I don't use because I have power. Apparently I have no power. So, bad solder joint, bad switch, most likely a bad motor. This, unlike some of the other table accents pieces I've done recently, this light pole is fixed. So I was mentioning, I think it'd be cool if they all came out. So, looking at the bottom, let's move the girl out of the way. Looking at the bottom, you got a handful of screws around the edge, and then we have 4 and 2 of a much larger screw. So let's start with the outer screws, because I'm assuming the larger screws hold the mechanism in. So, and like most table accents, this is plastic. So, a little bit more forgiving. And just like most Lemax, it's 4.5 volts DC. Even has it in here twice, once in English and once in French. I think that's kind of funny, but that's fine. I do not know how old this is, but based on the box, it's a slightly older version. I'll screw this by my thumb and do last because the head's stripped. So, looks like somebody tried to open this once before, which is fine. I always encourage people to try and open it if it's broken. Normally you can't make it any worse. Normally. And that screw stripped too. So let's move to this screw. Alright, let's see if I can I'm pushing really hard into the screw just to get enough of a bite to take it out. Which is kind of working. It's turning about a half a turn for every turn of my screwdriver. That guy's bad, so move that out of the way. And now let's try and see if we can do the same with this guy. And it's doing the same with this one. This one is now turning. So for about every revolution of the screwdriver, the screw is moving a half. And we're going to throw that one away too. So, alright, I'm going to plug this, because a lot of times you try to lower it, the barrel jack is fitted onto the base. Alright, here we go. And no, this one is different. The barrel jack is actually still attached to the top. Usually it sits on the bottom. And these 2 wires right here is the motor, and that belt has seen better days. It's disintegrating. The motor, like most of them, is a 300 CA, 11,440 revolutions a minute. Let's check the wires coming in. They look okay. Circuit board looks okay. Capacitors look okay. Resistor looks okay. Solder joints are horrible, but they don't look broke. So, like I normally do, we're going to check the motor. Now this motor you can't unhook, you have to desolder it. So that switch is on. So it is the motor. I kick-started the motor, now it's speeding up. The motor shouldn't speed up. It should just be on or off. So the motor is dying. So it's off, on. Needs a motor. So all right. Here's a replacement. I think it's a little thicker, maybe. Nope, same one. So, you know what the problem is. And we can see this is going up, this is going down, she's going up and down. So, it may not be too terribly difficult, but we have to remove all of these screws to get this plate off. Maybe. I'm thinking if we unscrew the 2 screws and maybe this screw, and this one, we can flex it enough to get the shaft out. That way we don't have to worry about all the gears. The gears sound fine. I don't think any of them are broken. There are a lot of them in here. You can see them all stacked in there. All the way around. But I guess we should take a look at it because of its age. So I don't hear any clacking, and there's no hesitation, which is common in the case of a cracked gear. So I think this is just going to be a motor issue only. I don't like how they did the circuit board like this, because it's putting so much stress on the 2 wires for the light pole. Actually, I didn't even see if the light pole worked. I should have checked that. Yep, light's on. It's white. Because this wire is pulled taut, this wire is pulled taut. I mean, technically, to make it a little easier, I can just do that. Because we're going to have to cut it anyway for the motor replacement. You can just solder it to the board, or you can leave a little section like I just did and then just solder back to its wires. I might just do that so I'm not worried about destroying the ferry wire, that thin wire. So all the screws are out except for the 2 that hold the motor. The screws on the bottom hold these 3 mechanisms. So here's the 10-tooth transfer gear. I think it's 10-tooth. 2, 3, 4. Nope, 14. So that's the 14-tooth transfer gear from there. And then here's all our standard gears, which are literally just standard hobby gears. You got 3 ring gears right here, which make these go up and down. That converts the lateral spinning to up and down spinning, which causes it to go up and down in a single rotation. The gears all look great. What is kind of interesting, because I don't see it that much, is the large teeth are all meshing, and then you have the small teeth only twice. You look at most Lemax, it's always staggered up, down, up, down, up, down between large ring and small ring. This one is just mostly just everything's driven off the large ring. So it's just not something you see in the modern Lemax. Probably because of space, because you can see how big these gears are and how much space it takes up. That's a lot of real estate. So, and it could also do with torque. The gears transfer torque and speed differently. So, You can use tweezers or pliers with anything to slide this pulley up. So you can just slide it onto your new motor like so. There we go. And I'm just trying to get one of the screws to line up in their hole. I think I got it. Nope, too far. There we go. Once you get one screw started, you can pivot the motor till you look down the second hole and see when the motor hole lines up. And you can just drop the screw in and screw it down. So those are now snug. You don't want to super torque them. Now we need to try and find a belt. So let's see if I have any belts left in this kit. That's the approximate size of this belt, which the answer is nope. These belts are too big, really obvious. So I'll open a brand new kit. That looks to be much, much better. Let's see how taut it is. Yeah, I'm not liking it. These are the kits from Skull Crane Electronics. That's that one. Try that one. I'll link them below, but I like their belts. I really do. That's a much better fit. I like that one a lot more. So. But these things are like $10 for this little bag of belts. They're thicker than the original belts, and they have a different elasticity feel, which is nice. They feel like they'd survive much, much more abuse and use than the OEM belts. Now, I've only been using these for a few months, but so far, so good. I do like them. That's why I keep buying them. So, now, let's see if we can get this to line back up. So, this has little protrusions right here, right here, and right here that fit inside the ring gears. So, you got to make sure they go in, because they also house the pins that go on top of the small transfer gears. So. Thinks we got it. Yes. We're all good. Everything feels sturdy. Pop in all the screws. Now, of all the different things I repair, the table accent pieces are probably the easiest. They're very, very basic. Sometimes they have a specialty part, like a eccentric gear, but as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, you can make an eccentric gear. I did it on my Ghoulish Gourd video. I showed you how to make an eccentric gear for transferring motion from circular to lateral. So it can be done. You just need to think outside the circle. So. I'm not going to glue the grill on until it's reassembled, because you have to fit them through their holes. 2 of them is difficult enough, so I'll make the 3rd one get glued on after it's assembled. I'm just making sure they're snug before I move on to the next piece. They're snug. Whoops. Trying to fire up the soldering iron instead of just smacking everything. So, some bad motor. I don't know if you can hear it. Probably not. It's going click, click, click. It's clunky. So, little piece of heat shrink. We'll go with some festive green since this is a holiday piece. It's supposed to represent the Christmas piece, I guess. Make sure that you put your heat shrink on before you do your soldering. If you don't, you can still slide it over. It's you just fold it. There we go. Need to strip off a little bit of the insulation so we can get some bare wire for the solder to adhere to. Try and grab the wire only and not your finger. And try not to cut it all the way through. Probably use the tool that's designed to do it. There we go. And these are pre-stripped and pre-tinned, but I don't like how short they are, so I'm going to strip a little more off so I can get a better bond. The red one just broke. There we go. Now we should be good. Yes. Solder. So I'm not going to tin these in advance. I'm going to just twist them and solder them. The problem I'm having is this thing keeps wanting to slide on me. So I'm just going to make a little wedge, or try to. Yeah, like that. Yeah, it's still not working. All right. Guess I'll sit down and get a little closer to the mason here. See if I can. That would have been the easiest thing to do. So the reason I'm not pre-tinning them and then twisting them is it makes it harder to twist. And also it means that the solder glob will be bigger than the heat shrink. So blacks are twisted together. Put a little solder on them. Like that. Now if you don't have a soldering iron or you don't know how to solder, you can literally just twist these wires together and then insulate them with a piece of tape or hot glue. That way they don't touch anything and cause a problem or short out. So they're soldered. So now we're just going to fold the wire solder piece over and then slide the heat shrink over it. Like that. And before I heat shrink it and make it permanent, I want to make sure that everything still works and that the light comes on. I didn't break anything before I put it back together. Lights on. And the motor doesn't turn. That's why I wanted to put this together first. Alright, that bond is good. That's good. So, apparently the belt's too stiff. So, go to the next size up. That is one thing about these low voltage motors, is if you have a belt that's too stiff or too strong of a pull, it will prevent it from rotating. Also, I don't have this down far enough. There we go. There we go. So if you put a new belt on something and it quits turning, take the belt off, try it again. It might be that your belt has too much tension for these low voltage motors. It's not that the motor is defective, it's literally the belt's just too much resistance, too much of a drag. So they're going up and down, the white light's on, turn off the power. Going to just use a lighter real quick, so I don't have to wait for my heat gun to warm up, and I'm just going to quickly hit these, shrink them down. And now I just need to make sure the wires do not get caught in any of the mechanisms. Make sure the circuit board doesn't get caught in any of the mechanisms. Double check. Free and clear. Free and clear. We're good. Make sure. Look at that. Beautiful. Nice and quiet. So this one wasn't too terribly difficult. So if you have this piece or similar, the table accents, like I say, are usually the easiest things to fix. It's normally either just a belt, maybe a couple of gears. This one has a lot more than the last couple. A light and a motor. Some table accents don't even have that. They just light up and it doesn't work because one of the wires broke. So if you have a table accent and you want to start practicing on how to disassemble and replace, and you have a table accent or two that doesn't work, this might be a great spot to start so you get a basic understanding of how to work on miniature stuff, whether it be Lemax, Department 56, Mr. Christmas, I forgot the new one, I think it starts with an L, Hawthorne Village, generic Chinese stuff. Basically no name. And let's see if some of these random screws I have on my bench will fit to replace the ones that are missing due to them being stripped. Yep, this is the same as the others. And that one's different. That's the same. There we go. All the screws are in. Just turn it on. And let's turn off the light so we can see how much light that white light produces. Yeah. Because it looks like it's just going to illuminate the dog and the kid against the tree. Oh, wow. It actually does do a decent amount of lubrication of lighting. Wow. Look at that. See how quiet that is? It actually has a pretty decent light. You can actually see the people. I'm surprised. I really am. Alright, light's coming back. Once the seat comes up, I'm going to get the thing to stop so we can get her glued back in. So this concludes the quick repair, less than a half an hour, of the hide and seek. There we go. Any questions or comments, leave them below, like normal. And then, oh, it's too high. I can't get her legs in. There we go. I'm going to let her cure. Huh. She does not want to stay. There we go. I'm going to let her cure, and then I'll get this thing boxed back up. Thanks again for watching. Till the next one.